Hello, this is Babamots. Welcome to another Homeworlds game review. This is a game between rogerwood and Bonzarello, and I don't think we've ever had either of these players featured on the channel before. It looks like they're relatively new players. I looked up their profiles, and rogerwood has played a fair number of games, but rank points haven't risen too much. Bonzarello has played a lot less. I played this game out for a little while just to see what happened, and I was very interested, so let's get into it. rogerwood up first with a green-yellow fortress. Bonzarello with a blue-red, what do we call this, Goldilocks. I don't like green home stars very much. I always like to have my first ship green, but we'll see what rogerwood makes of it. Both players building. rogerwood trades for red early. That matches the color of the red star in Bonzarello's system, so they might get mediums quickly. Bonzarello trades for yellow right away. Both players already have access to all four technologies in their homeworlds. rogerwood continuing with the reds. That could get them a medium very early still. They're on track. Bonzarello moves their yellow out already. I don't like that very much. They've lost access to yellow at their home world. They can't build yellow anymore. And moving to a blue star in particular just makes it so that this yellow can trade for another color. If they had moved to a green, then they could continue to build yellows, but moving to a blue this early does not seem good to me. All right, rogerwood getting the first medium. Bonzarello trading for green. That really seems like a wasted turn to me. They had to take a turn to trade for yellow, and they've traded it back to green. Of course, if they had left it green, then it would have still been at their homeworld, but it took them a turn to trade, a turn to move, and a turn to trade back. That's 3 turns to get this ship here. I'm pretty sure it would have been more efficient to build another green and then move it here, and then they'd still have a yellow at home. So I don't care for that. rogerwood moving out to a blue, maybe. No, trading their R2 for green. This is, I think, a good idea. They are taking advantage of the medium color that they can build, the reds. They can continue to build medium red and then trade it out for other colors and get lots of medium ships if they like. And with it being so early in the game still, mediums are quite valuable. All right, Roger. Yeah, builds medium red again. Bonzarello continuing to build green. They've got all 3 of the small greens now, which means that green now also gives access to the mediums. rogerwood builds thinking about building a medium green instead of red. They changed their mind. They're moving to a little yellow colony. If they were to move that green into Bonzarello's colony, then they could get a catastrophe, and normally I might say that a medium is worth about 3 smalls, but rogerwood has got so many other ships that I think that would be a big boost to Roger, not so good for Bonzarello. Bonzarello thinking about sacrificing their G3. They would lose the game, so hopefully they take that back. They did. Instead, they're going to just build a G2. I think that's all right. I would have been considering trading out one of these greens. Well, actually, no, yes, I would have considered trading one of these greens so that rogerwood couldn't get an instant catastrophe, but that if rogerwood did decide to invade, I could still build one more time for the overpopulation if I wanted to. rogerwood's got reds, Bonzarello doesn't, and Bonzarello's colony doesn't have anything big enough to defend itself from rogerwood's medium anyhow. All right, Rogerwood trading for medium yellow. That seems fine. Besides getting Rogerwood into a new color, it puts some pressure on Bonzarello's home. If Bonzarello were to build another green right now at their home, then Rogerwood could move in the fourth green for an overpopulation and win. Bonzarello trades for yellow. Yep, good. Bonzarello does need to diversify. This colony is still quite vulnerable. Let's see if anything happens to it. Rogerwood builds more green. Bonzarello also builds green. Okay. So that's the last of the medium greens. There's now a large green for the building. Rogerwood doesn't want to, well, no, I don't think they should build that green, even though Bonzarello could only overpopulate it by sacrificing their Y2. I think that with, okay, let me get the whiteboard up here. If Rogerwood builds that G3 and Bonzarello sacrifices the Y2 to catastrophe it, then Bonzarello is out. Y2, G1, Rogerwood is out. These two G2s, and suddenly the material is even. Rogerwood would have more more color diversity, but Bonzarello would have some ships in a colony rather than all being at home, and I would call that position quite even. So, suffice to say, I don't think Rogerwood should build right now. They might want to, in fact, discover that G3 as a star. Well, Bonzarello can't safely build either, so maybe it's not too urgent. But I don't think this will stay a stalemate for long. And I'm being slightly coy because I think I remember the next move when I was reviewing this before. No, they don't want to just do a straight up build. And I don't think they're going to build that Y1 either. Oh, they did. All right. When I was previewing this game, I went a couple moves beyond this just to make sure it had something interesting to it. But I don't remember exactly how this happens. Okay. Building a yellow. That's all right. It doesn't open up anything. Bonzarello now has 2 yellow ships to Rogerwood's 1. So Bonzarello actually has a little bit of a head start in producing yellows. Rogerwood discovering a yellow star. They're setting themselves up to have the option to build that G3 and also making an investment in the yellows, possibly. So that seems quite good. Moving to a B2, that's all right as well. They're still setting themselves up for the G3 build, and it's a more aggressive position right outside of Bonzarello's home. Looks good to me. This might be where we get the play that interested me so much. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so I have recommended this particular move to to the players who couldn't hear me in my videos before, but Bonzarello is actually finally going to do it, and so this move is the reason I'm casting this game. Bonzarello has sacrificed their G2. They're going to, well, at first they rebuild it back at home, but that doesn't get them anywhere. But what they're actually going to do is sacrifice the G2, build it in this colony where they already have 3 green ships, and then build the G3 in their home, and then trigger the catastrophe themselves. So, Bonzarello lost medium and 3 smalls, but gained a large. And not always, but at least sometimes I call that an improvement. For Bonzarello in this situation, there are no colors that are terribly close to opening up into larges for their opponents. It would take Rogerwood at least a few turns to get into the large yellows, so if Bonzarello commits to this, I think they do, yeah. Bonzarello's got this spare large, which potentially, with some red backup, could begin to terrorize Rogerwood's colonies. So I like that move a whole lot. You don't see people deliberately overpopulating just their own ships very often, so that was exciting. All right, Rogerwood pushes forward their green. All right, that threatens to catastrophe both of Bonzarello's greens. I don't think they like that, so they trade out for a red. The red would be all right. Just invading this colony is not so good. I think Rogerwood should be happy to build a fourth green and overpopulate in that case. Bonzarello trading for red, yeah, that's pretty good. Rogerwood spreading out their reds. Also pushing a red closer to Bonzarello, so Bonzarello can't build another red unless this red moves away. Yeah, that's a perfectly fine move, I think. I would probably pick green so that that little red could build, or possibly a yellow so that it could reinforce this colony. They're thinking about or I said yellow, right? Yeah, I think yellow's a pretty good choice. Let's see. Oh, Bonzarello, I have never seen this happen in a game log before. Bonzarello uses a holiday time joker to add 4 days of thinking time. Okay. I guess they went on vacation. And kind of look at the timestamps. This is 4:28 and this is 4:30. Yeah, so they went away for a couple of days. All right, and now they're thinking about invading that colony. They do. Let's see if Rogerwood comes up with anything useful to do there. They sacrifice their Y2 to evacuate both greens. No, they changed their mind. Sacrifice for the evacuation, or just build a red, or sacrifice the green to build. Yeah, that's quite good. They sacrificed the green to build 2 reds. Yeah, so now if Bonzarello captures this 1 green, Bonzarello will also have a nice place that they can build red. Although they will, once they build a red, they'll have 2 reds together, and Rogerwood might not mind sacrificing their yellow in order to send 2 reds into that colony for the overpopulation, since they'd be destroying a large. Bonzarello can't terrorize Rogerwood's colonies so much anymore, since Rogerwood has now an all-red colony. If Bonzarello comes in, Rogerwood can overpopulate, again taking out a large in exchange for some smaller pieces, and I think Rogerwood should be pretty happy about that. Bonzarello simply captures. I think that's the right call. Rogerwood builds again, maybe, or trades for green. Yeah, so trading out a small red for green blocks Bonzarello from getting any larger reds for the moment. So I think that's an acceptable play. Bonzarello builds green. That's the move that I had in mind for them. With these greens parked in this position, Rogerwood can't safely build another green at home. Oh, they're spreading out their blues. I expected them to spread out to move the green here to the colony, but the blues make more sense in a way. Bonzarello doesn't have any blue yet, so Rogerwood has a pretty big head start on building blues. All right, Bonzarello now trading green for yellow. That's quite good. Rogerwood isn't in a position to build more yellow, but Bonzarello is. So opening up the larges is good. Rogerwood can't block that very well. They can't discover 3 large yellow stars, and they really shouldn't trade away the only yellow ship they've got to block. I think Rogerwood would be better off moving this medium yellow to a place where it can safely build a large next turn. And that colony isn't it. Let's see what they decide on. They move into that colony. Okay. Wow. Um, I think that's a pretty big mistake. They're letting Bonzarello get a free large ship. 2 if they want them, I suppose. Yeah, sacrificing the G2 to build 2 big yellows. Yeah, I like that. Neither one can be overpopulated. And if Rogerwood tries to build a large yellow, then the little yellow from Bonzarello moves into the colony, blow up the whole thing. Yeah, that's great. See what Rogerwood comes up with. Sacrifice the green to build? No, they see the problem with that. Trade out the blue to get the big yellow. That would block Bonzarello from building any more big yellows, but then they're stuck with their only large ship being the same color as a home star. Rogerwood just building a red. Red is a color where they've got the advantage, so that would make sense. Trading for green. Same story with green. Rogerwood's got a big head start on green, so that's okay. Except I wouldn't trade the yellow to do it. I would trade the red for sure. Yeah, Rogerwood can block that last large yellow build by discovering it as a star, but Bonzarello can't actually build any more yellow for the time being anyhow. Let's flash forward a little to see what they decide on. Okay, they decide to go to a green colony, and that yellow is threatening to come into Bonzarello's home for the overpopulation. It's also threatening to build this Y3. I think Bonzarello, I think they should trade one of these smaller yellows for red or blue in order to block the large yellow build and make the homeworld safe from yellow overpopulation. Sacrificing the little yellow to move the big yellow here. That's not a very good threat. Bonzarello does not want to sacrifice the only red ship that they have, let alone a large, in order to capture this medium. And this medium yellow can just run away anyhow. So I don't care too much for that move. Although Bonzarello is ahead so much in material right now that sacrificing a large isn't a big deal. Sacrificing your only red ship is still a big deal, though. Fairly big deal. Okay, Rogerwood trading out for green. Looks like they may recognize that this is not a threat that Bonzarello wants to act on. Sacrificing a little yellow, little blue to trade for red? Oh no, that's quite bad. Bonzarello, I think, should be quite happy to trade large red for medium red right now to get it out of Rogerwood's hands. Only because Bonzarello is ahead so much in material. They've got 4 large ships to 1. This is looking good for Bonzarello. Okay, Roger trades R1 for G1. That's all right, sort of. I think Rogerwood has successfully concluded that they don't need to react to this colony invasion. But if one of these yellows decides to come into the Deneb colony, then Rogerwood's going to want to evacuate, or they're going to start having ships captured. Bonzarello moves a yellow back home? That seems very strange to me. I don't see any reason for that. Unless maybe they want to move their green ship out instead? No, I don't see the sense there. They should have invaded the Deneb colony. Okay. Rogerwood trading... Ooh. Trading their blue for yellow. So I think that what they have in mind is that they want to build this large yellow ship, so they want to get the little yellow out of the way. The problem with this move is I think Bonzarello should be willing, honestly, to sacrifice a medium yellow to move 2 more yellows into Deneb for the catastrophe, cutting Rogerwood down to just 4 ships. Bonzarello would be up 3 larges to 1. Rogerwood changes their mind, just builds a little red. I think that's pretty good. Bonzarello is still not getting the reds like they need. They need to be... Bonzarello needs to be putting a lot of pressure on Rogerwood by harassing colonies, or they need to start diversifying, get involved in green and red, and maybe even the blue economy here. Rogerwood builds red. All right. Bonzarello trades for green. That's okay. Now they can build red here. I think that's the main advantage to this. Okay, Rogerwood builds green. Fine. Bonzarello sacrifices green to build little yellow. What? Didn't they just trade a little yellow for green? Yeah, I think in the past 2 turns, they have returned to the same state they were in 2 turns ago. That was quite poor. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the reasoning there at all. Trading for green was a good move. Trading back was not. All right. Rogerwood now trading for yellow. Didn't they just trade? Yeah, a few turns ago they traded blue for yellow. I don't know what's going on anymore. Okay, well, let's see what they get up to next. Bonzarello now sacrifices Y2 to bring that red into the Electra colony. That yellow can just run away, so this really doesn't do anything. Except it puts this red at a system where it can build again, which is nice. But if they wanted to build, they should have just left this ship as a green. And really, they should... This is a juicy, juicy colony for invasion. They should have moved the yellow ship, the large yellow, into Deneb and used their R3 to capture anything that didn't run away. That would have been a big win. Okay, Rogerwood runs away. Unsurprisingly, okay. And now this red is stuck. Bonzarello should still invade this colony. Okay, trading for green. That's what they should have done before, but it would have been better while the red was still there. Rogerwood building green. Yeah, they're just making this colony a juicier and juicier target. But as long as it doesn't get invaded, I suppose that's fine. Bonzarello trades green for yellow again. They've done this twice now. Traded for green, which is the correct color, and then traded back for yellow. This is peculiar. I think Bonzarello doesn't know what to do with the power they've got. I think Bonzarello is still winning, but I don't think they know how to finish this. They need to invade this colony with the Y3. Even if Rogerwood overpopulates it, which they could easily, that would be a huge win for Bonzarello to wipe out almost all of Rogerwood's ships in exchange for just 1 large. All right, Rogerwood builds green, maybe, or red, maybe, or blue, maybe. They stick with the blue. Yeah, that's good. They're even building it in a safe place. Building up this colony anymore isn't a good idea. Rogerwood has a big blue advantage. All right, Bonzarello now spreading out the yellows. Okay, they're set up for a shopping spree for what it's worth. They can sacrifice the G3 to build both remaining yellows safely. Let's see what Roger Wood does. Sacrifices G2 to build a couple of blues. Yeah, they're getting really dangerous now. Bonzarello sacrifices the G3 to build a couple of yellows. And they've got one more build action. They build a little red. Okay. That's all right. But it's scary to have no green ships left. Yeah, they settle on that. Bonzarello's time is running out. Once Roger Wood starts getting additional large ships, they're not going to be able to invade this colony, and Bonzarello won't be able to invade this colony anymore. And their advantage will be severely reduced. Roger Wood just invading this little colony. Roger Wood would in fact be willing to sacrifice a red to capture that little yellow, I think. But Bonzarello can just run away, so it doesn't really do anything. In fact, moving that little yellow to Electra is not a bad move at all. It's a good position development to let this red move again. Trading for green, ignoring this threat. I suppose that's all right. But by trading out the medium yellow, they've given a yellow for Roger to build, which they're thinking about. Or they'll just capture. Yeah, the capture's good. Bonzarello could now build that Y2, but Roger has two yellows and a medium yellow. They could push the two yellows into Castor to overpopulate. Honestly, though, Bonzarello... I wanted to say that Bonzarello has enough larges that they don't care, and that it's better for Roger to reduce their own power, but I don't think that's actually true anymore. Bonzarello has lost too many other ships, and Roger Wood is almost equal in power, especially if Roger ever builds that B3. Okay, Bonzarello taking the B3 for themselves. I think that's actually a pretty good move. And on their next turn, they can sacrifice G2 to build the two remaining yellows if Roger doesn't block. Roger thinking about building the yellow, instead sacrificing the B2 to trade for yellow and red. That is some nice diversification. Yellows are really good for the sacrificing, but I think Roger is giving up some ground in the blues that they don't have to. So I question whether that's a good idea. Bonzarello now moving the large blue out of home. That's all right. It is a little scary to just have one ship at home. I would have preferred Bonzarello to build the Y2. To build the Y2 in the colony, I think. All right, Roger, what have you got? Building a Y2. Yeah, that's just fine. Both players have been quite passive. Bonzarello has needed to invade for a long time. It's still, I think, their best move to invade Deneb, even though there are fewer ships than there used to be. Oh, overpopulating those guys. Ah, jeez. I don't like that particularly. That leaves Roger Wood with more yellow than Bonzarello has. Let's see if they commit. They do. I don't think that was worth it. They should have invaded Deneb. All right, Roger Wood now building blue. Yeah, so if Bonzarello now builds a blue in their colony, Rogerwood could overpopulate with a Y2 sacrifice. And, oh, Bonzarello resigns? I think they were out of time. I wonder if Rogerwood triggered the, declared them to be out of time. I wonder if that's what happened. Okay, well, I think it was still a fairly even position. The whole point of this video was to show you that that G2 sacrifice, deliberately overpopulating your own ships in order to score an additional large ship. But we saw some other things that we can learn from. I think we saw too much passiveness from Bonzarello if they had invaded this colony at any point, including right now from this position. Well, maybe not from this position. I just wanted to say that so much, even though it's not probably quite true. I wanted to say sacrifice the Y3, move the red home, move the blue in here. But the trouble is that either of the two colors that Bonzarello could invade with at this very moment could get overpopulated, so it's not so good right now. But don't be too passive. Look for chances to invade your opponent's colonies. If you have got more large ships than your opponent, then there's a good chance that you should be on the offensive, moving your large ships into their colonies, forcing them to sacrifice things in order to run away, or else giving you the opportunity to capture. Well, that's the lesson for today. Thanks for watching.